Elena Royale. Main concerns are a good wage to be able to keep our teachers and retain our teachers here in San Francisco, to be able to live here in San Francisco, and also working conditions, and that's for our students and our staff, safe working conditions. Those are two of the main things, but really looking at what it costs to live in the city and what the starting salary of a teacher is, which a base salary is $54,000. And a lot of people are career changers, so they're changing mid-career, It's a big choice, and when they hear the bottom line of the payment, a lot of times we lose folks.
And living in San Francisco, how do you do it with a teacher of salary of $54,000?
For many years, I lived with my entire family to live in San Francisco because it's where I grew up and it's where I want to serve. But to be able to do that, we realize that we have to sacrifice. And we don't want people to have to sacrifice to be able to work in education. And we're losing numbers, we're losing people, which means our job gets much harder.
And the school district is talking about solving this crisis possibly by closing schools.
That's what we've heard.
What do you think about that?
I look at our schools now, and the truth is the smaller the school, the better for the students.
So they shouldn't close, they should keep them open for the students.
Keep them open and really think about what is it we can put in, how can we invest in our schools so that we can really shine and attract money and attract people to want to take their students and put them in our San Francisco public schools.
And how long have you been teaching?
I've been teaching as a teacher 8 years. I've been an educator since I was 14 years old, and I've worked for the school district for 21 years this year.
And they're also talking about outsourcing the janitors, contracting them out.
Well, there's definitely, the SEIU is also, they voted to strike. They haven't had a raise in 4 years. And they just, those are our secretaries, our custodians, and our lunch people. And, they just want a fair wage and a living wage. And the truth is management often has a ridiculous wage.
It seems like there's always more consultants than managers.
That's right. And the managers, for some reason, get double what the people on the ground do, at least. And that isn't equitable, and honestly, in education, that's not where the money needs to be to make it happen for our students.
And why is there a lack of funding, proper funding for education in California? It's a rich state. You've got a lot of billionaires in California.
And there are things in legislature to look at increasing the dollar amount per teacher so that we can give a better wage so folks in California can continue to live here in our state and not have to relocate. But that has to happen at a legislative level in order to really make an impact statewide.
And it seems like education workers all over the state, the graduate students at UC went on strike, UTLA went on strike, CSU, they're talking about layoffs in CSU. It seems like education workers are facing an onslaught.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like an uphill battle, but education is what we fight for, right? It's our right, and it's a public right. I'm a product of a San Francisco Unified School District, and I just believe that we got to make sure the kids there have a good chance to compete.
So they have a future.
So we as a state, so we all do. We depend on our children to take care of us when we're old, and other people's children as well. And the better we can provide that foundation, the better care we're all going to get as humans.
Hi, my name's Lisa Abrams. I'm a special educator here at Wallenberg High School here in San Francisco. I've been with the school district for, at least 25 years, I think, at this point. You kind of stop counting after 20. And right now, we just want a cost of living raise that shows that we are appreciated as the educated and dedicated professionals that we are. We want to make sure that proposals to protect our special education students are not ignored, and that all students are provided with a high level of support and service, which we cannot do with the funding and with what the district is offering, which is frankly insulting to us as educators.
And the union's been negotiating for some time. It seems like the district is also talking about shutting down schools. What do you think about that?
I think it's scare tactics. I think it's union busting. The fact is, we've been coming to the table day in and day out since this started, and they only recently made a very meager proposal to us. And what they didn't send out to the community at large, the district, when they announced their proposal recently, was what the cost would be to have it, which was they were going to get rid of AP preps. They wanted us to drop all other proposals we had on the table, and it's all for a ask that is less than cost of living for the first year and a 4% raise tied to other things for the second year, which probably won't go into a third or fourth year, which once again is not cost of living when you consider we haven't had a real contract in 6 years. That was our last contract we signed off on, our big one.
And a lot of teachers here say they can't survive in San Francisco, the cost of living. I mean, how do you survive as a teacher in San Francisco?
So our paraeducators, our teachers, we can't survive on the salaries we have. We have to have second jobs. We have to live outside of the city and do long commutes. Personally, I'm in a different situation in that I got hit by a car back in 2008. That's how I afforded to buy a place through the Mayor's Office of Housing. But that means I have 2 loans from the Mayor's Office of Housing plus a mortgage. And I have to save over a paycheck every year just for my property taxes so I can stay in my home. And considering that I haven't had a raise in a really long time, it's gotten harder and harder to do that. I just want everyone that is a professional educator in our school system, and that's our paraeducators and our certified teachers, to receive a salary that will allow them to live in their communities, live where they work, teach where they work. And I'm not talking about teacher housing where the district makes apartments for us that we then pay our meager salaries back to them for the privilege of living in their teacher, like their little teacher housing. It's not appropriate. So anyway.
And I mean, it seems like working class housing is a social issue for a lot of people. Working people can't live anywhere.
It is. It's definitely an issue for everyone in San Francisco, and then when you look at the fact that to be a teacher, you have to have it at some sort of advanced degree, bachelor's at the very minimum, and you're paid for 35 hours a week, but you're putting in a lot more than that. I've been putting in 12, 14-hour days personally.
The stress level.
It is, and then so if you're doing that, you can't afford to have a second job, and so you should be able to afford to live in this city on your salary as a teacher. So maybe they should just give us those cost of living raises.
We're trying to find out why teachers are taking a strike vote here.
Because the things that they're offering us is not what we asked for, and it was based on the budget that they presented to us. So that's why we're going to.
How long have you been a teacher?
I've been a teacher for over 25 years.
And it seems like it's getting worse and worse.
I don't know if it's getting worse. I think people are just stopped listening. Yeah.
And they say they may shut schools, or is that a threat? And what is that all about?
I don't know if it's a threat or a statement of assurance. So we'll see which way it goes.
And surviving in San Francisco, working class housing, the cost of things, how do teachers?
I was lucky. I inherited my mom's house. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to afford to live here, even though I went to school here and grew up here.
And where does that leave the kids?
That leaves the kids in a place where we know that they're going to get what they really deserve to get, which is quality education.
And there have been a strike wave of other teachers, UTLA in Los Angeles, the graduate students, CSU faculty. I mean, it seems like there's a general fight of education work.
There seems to be a consensus that teachers have never been paid what they're worth. And right now, after COVID and everything went through, they presented us with a budget. We asked them for what was part of the budget, and it doesn't seem like they're listening.
Who are they listening to?
I don't know. That's a good question. Really good question. If I find that person, I'll let you know.
How long have you been teaching?
7 years.
And why isn't the district negotiating? I mean, the union said that they're not properly negotiating. And what are the conditions? I mean, the cost of living, housing. I mean, what are the conditions for teachers in San Francisco?
Yeah, definitely cost of living. It's really hard to make it. I've been teaching for 7 years and I get a pay bump every year, but it's minimal and it's tough.
And they're threatening to close smaller schools. How would that solve the problem, if any at all?
I don't know if that's going to happen or if that's going to work. I mean, the main thing is we need more teachers, so we need better pay to invite those teachers in. They're not wanting to work with us because they're not getting paid enough. I just don't think enough money goes into education.
My name is Janaea, and I think that we deserve more pay. Parents work hard, extremely hard, just as hard as teachers, and it's unfair that we get the bottom of the totem pole. I believe that it should be equal. If not equal, then we should get a fair amount of pay. It's not easy living in San Francisco making what we're making. It's just not fair.
And a living wage, what would that be? It seems like you can't survive on what you're making now.
Heck no, like $50, $40 an hour, like, and full time. We only work part time, and we don't even get a pension. We don't get retirement.
You're working for the public schools and you don't even get a pension?
No,
How do they justify that?
you gotta ask them.
But you should. You're a public worker.
I agree. Like I said, we the bottom of the totem pole, and it's just not fair. I hope this is not gonna go on TV.
And what are your wages now?
I'm at $28 an hour, and you can't live like that in San Francisco.
And a lot of teachers, I guess, and workers can't survive in San Francisco, and that's what they're fed up. I mean, there've been strikes all over the UTLA.
Yeah,
Where's the money?
going into the superintendent's
Administration, well, I would say everything that she says, but I also think that we only work the 5.5 hours a day, and we're getting the $28, and we're not having a pension, and so that means we're just there while we're there, and we don't have all the perks and all the extra stuff that the teachers have. And while I believe the teachers should get paid and they should get paid more, I also think that we should get paid more because there are not enough of us, and that's why the kids are not having all their, it's IEPs, individual education plan, minutes being met, and then more. What happens is that the parents will sue the school district because their kids are not being taken care of the way that they think they deserve, and they do, but we can't cover them because there's not enough of us because we don't get paid enough.
So the kids are getting shortchanged.
The kids are getting shortchanged is the bottom line, and we care about the kids. That's why we stay in this job, but we deserve to be paid better, and we need to hire more, and that's how can you do that if it's not a...
We need better benefits.
Yeah.
What are your benefits?
I pay a lot of my benefits every 2 weeks. My benefits is almost to pay for them. It's like almost $500 for a month.
Out of your check, you pay
My
benefits.
check, yeah. It's a large amount of money.
And your health care, do you have to pay for that?
That's what I'm talking about.
We pay into it. So the school district pays an amount, and it's pretty good health care, but we have to pay into it as well. It's not free.
It's not free.
So we pay into it too.
I'm Kelly Baker, teacher at Dolores Huerta Elementary.
And what's going on here today?
We're doing a strike authorization vote, which is the pre-vote to a strike.
And what are the issues that, as a teacher, you're concerned about for education, for the young people, for the students?
Yeah, definitely the stability long-term of schools. We have been hemorrhaging staff, and our students are suffering. We have a lot of underfunding going on, and so in order to really attack the problem at the root, we need fair salary. We need enough to keep people in the city to raise the children that are also growing up in San Francisco, and that requires a really large look at what the little problems are and to really find a sustainable solution, which includes having enough resources so that schools can run properly.
California is a rich state. There are a lot of billionaires in San Francisco, 80 billionaires in San Francisco. Why don't they have enough money for teachers?
I think the value set is very mistaken and needs to be reevaluated and look at how we're supporting the future.
And young kids who want to get a good education, are they able to do that in the public schools if teachers aren't paid enough, and paralegals and other paraprofessionals?
I think it would be difficult. It doesn't mean that there aren't amazing things happening in public schools, but it's really hard, and we're all just kind of white-knuckling and holding on to the schools and keeping them together. But there is a lot of amazing stuff going on. It's just it's really hard on us, and so it would feel a lot better, and I think we would be a lot more productive if we had fully funded schools, and schools were organized in a way where all the staff is present, and we don't have to be putting a million Band-Aids on a really big problem.
And the school board has threatened possible shutdown of schools, also outsourcing, contracting out the janitors. And it seems like those tactics are kind of dangerous for education.
Yeah, it feels like, from my perspective, it feels like there's a lot of anti-public education tactics going into play to make things worse, as opposed to, again, finding the issues and solving them at the root.
And there have been a lot of teacher movements, educator movements, UTLA in Los Angeles, the graduate students, it seems like education workers have had enough and can't survive in California.
Yeah, we've been through a lot in the last few years. We survived COVID. We had the public's opinion in favor of us and then quickly against us, and we are just really trying to hang in there. And it's a time where a lot of unions are striking, and it feels like the public opinion. I mean, the parents at our school are very much in support of us, and they are writing petitions to the school board, and it just seems that the administration of SFUSD really needs to wake up and see that the problem is in some of their shorthanded solutions, and they need to really be thinking about the long-term sustainability of a public school system and value it.
And you're ready to go out and strike?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yes.
For how long?
As short as possible. I mean, it would be wonderful if just this strike authorization vote was enough to wake up the administration in the district. But if it's not, we are going to prepare our families as best as we can so that they don't suffer too much. But we really need to find a solution that makes change.
My name is Meredith Charpentier. I teach at third grade at Grattan Elementary.
And how long have you been teaching?
13 years in the district and some years before that private and elsewhere.
And what's going on with teachers in San Francisco and other workers in education?
Well, we work so hard. Our contract currently says we work for 7.5 hours a day, which is a joke because we work for 10 hours a day minimum. Just to do the required amount of work that there is. Literally, to get through the day, we have to put those hours in. And then we are gravely in need of the paras and support staff that we rely on. And it's so hard to hire people because they cannot afford to live in San Francisco if they're at the starting pay rate. And so we are being let down by the inability for the district to hire more support to make it possible to teach in the classroom when we have students with a variety of learning differences and emotional differences. So I strongly support the need to raise the rates of pay from the bottom up, as well as making it real for me to have a living wage and to be able to retire someday with a reasonable retirement.
And the paras have told me that they don't even have pensions. And they work for the city.
They are treated like second or third class citizens just because of their standard of education that's required to do that may not be that high, but the standard of quality that we need in our classrooms to support our students with needs is very high, and the amount of love and energy they give to their work is so significant. They need to be
a living wage in San Francisco. How do you survive in San Francisco?
Well, I've been here long enough to have a rent control apartment, so we're two teachers and we can get by, but if you are starting out and trying to make it, I don't know how you do it unless your parents are footing the bill for you or something else.
They're threatening to shut the schools. What do you think about that? Their solution?
I'm sorry that I can't speak to that. I think if San Francisco's youth population really reduces, it's good to have vibrant schools that are working. So I don't really want to weigh in too heavily about that, but I know every teacher loves where they work and every student loves where they go to school, and so it's a very emotional.
How about smaller schools?
How about smaller schools? Go for smaller schools. Oh, the school I teach at now is now up to capacity, but it was running at half capacity for 15 years before I started teaching there, so that's a feasible.
Is there a baby boom in San Francisco?
Oh, let's hope for that. Well, right now our administrator at a full capacity school is so overloaded, so one administrator to 300 students would be reasonable, not unreasonable.
My name is Emma. I am an art teacher. I teach at Lawton Elementary. And I voted yes on strike today.
And what is making teachers angry about what's going on in the schools and what you need?
We don't have enough staff. And for me, I'm an art teacher and I need, I'm teaching 33 kids in one class at one time with a lot of other, we need help. We need paras. We need more teachers. We need more room in the schools. We just need, and we need to get paid more. Obviously, the cost of living here is awful. I've just found another place to live and I'm paying an extra $800 more a month than I was paying last time. So it's like, hello, help us out,
And there are a lot of billionaires in San Francisco.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wealth.
Yes. The 1% lives right here.
But there's not enough for school teachers, paras, and others.
You know, I don't know what people are doing out there, but nobody's budging. Nobody, you know, we just have to be, you know, united. We have to keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully someone will be like, oh, you know what, I have too much money. Let's feed the teachers.
And there have been strikes in the UTLA in Los Angeles.
Yes.
The graduate students, it seems like people really have had enough.
Yeah, I mean, you know, education is just gonna, you know, it's hard out there. There's not enough people that want to do it because there's, you know, all these tech jobs and multi-million companies and capitalism. Everybody just wants to make money, you know.
And the AI, they would like to get rid of teachers, bring in computers.
God, I can't even hear about that. What, am I human? No. I don't know.
And what's going to happen? What's the future? Because it seems like it's getting more and more difficult for people to survive.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I need to move back to where I came from, which is in New York, because I can't afford to live here, you know. So yeah, teachers are going to get pushed out, and the education system is going to, who knows what's going to happen in this city, or I mean in the whole country, really. It's just not enough, you know.
And it seems like there's a lot of money for wars around the world. Ukraine, Israel. I mean, it seems like the budget is unlimited.
Oh, unlimited, you know. We're just, you know, growing it right over there. I see it. I'm going to go grab some.
Patrick Weisman.
What school?
Hoover. Fair contract for us that's going to keep and retain teachers in San Francisco who have a stake in the community.
How long have you been teaching?
In the district, 6 years.
And the cost of living, housing, how do teachers survive?
I mean, I got lucky. I live in the East Bay, but a lot of people don't, you know? So that's about it.
And they say they're going to threatening to close schools. I mean, you think that's a threat against the union, or what? And also lay off the janitors or outsource them?
The custodians are the front line to information for anybody in the school. So why do you want to lay them off? You know, because they know more information than any teacher, any principal, anybody in the school. If you want something done, or want to know something, talk to the custodian. They're not janitors; they're custodians.
Custodians. And what do you think is going to come out of this?
Hopefully, the district realizes that we're serious, and that they're going to bargain and try to keep and retain people.